of Family Doctors. He holds tens of awards, including World Ambassador for Peace Award, United Nations, Award of Special Recognition for Service and Leadership as President of NMA, and a lot more. Dr. Odo is committed to lifting burdens off the shoulders of the less privileged as he is enabled. He firmly believes that every man is a measure of the worth he has given to his fellow men in service. He believes that the greatest development is that of the mind. He believes that the knowledge rules and that humanity is the opportunity to attain self-actualization in service. Dr. Odo believes that every man that is educated is another candle lit in the darkness of poverty, a seed of prosperity and a pillar of community development. Dr. Odo is a lover and giver and a defender of education. By every stretch of the imagination, here is a teacher, an astute physician, a nationalist and a patriot, an icon and a role model, an author, a public speaker, a community leader, and a builder of men. He is a defender of justice and a philanthropist. Dr. Odo continues to lower his shoulders to lift men to heights from which they can locate their destinations in life. Dr. Odo is blessed with 3 beautiful daughters and a firm-minded son from his marriage to Mrs. Doris Obiageli Odo, a business management consultant. He hails from Isiofia, Obiofia in Okonano and Kano West Local Government Area of Enugu State, Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me as we welcome Ambassador Dr. Odo to give us this lecture. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Dr. Ikechukwu Uguodo will be making his presentation for 20 minutes. Thank you. I believe 20 minutes is enough. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman of this August event. A distinguished Nigerian and former governor of Enugu State, an elder in the medical profession, a leader of men, Dr. Okwesileze Nwodo. Excellency, I'm honored to be here, and it is my privilege to sit with you and to see you chairman this event, taking us back to the few years you were in office and the examples you showed. They still resonate. Thank you, Your Excellency. The chairman has enjoined us to bridge the protocols, and I will do my best to do so. But the sins of today will be unpardonable if I fail to recognize, like the chairman himself did, our teachers, my teachers, those on whose shoulders we stand today, and those from whose deep springs of knowledge we drank to become whatever we are today. Professor Hebolam is seated just next to me on the high table. I was feeling like a toddler beside him. But my people say that when a child washes his hands clean, he dines with kings. Prof, I feel greatly honored once again to be here with you. When I was president of the Nigerian Private Doctors, and during the centenary events of my time, we honored a few Nigerians. And I said, Prof, you must come. Not only were you my teacher, but a distinguished doctor, global doctor, a teacher of no mean standing. And I was able to bring this great man to the International Conference Center, Abuja, now made a dwarf by what our own government has done down here. Prof, you're welcome. I start from afar and I cited a figure some meters away, and something crossed my mind. I told Dr. Oledo, is that not Professor Nenobiayo? She said, yes. I said, oh my God. And I'm sitting here without paying homage. And I quickly ran to her and I said, Mommy, good afternoon. You remain a mommy, you remain our teacher. And I told her, I'm so glad to see you are still strong, looking younger than we saw you 35 years ago. God bless you, ma'am. On this note, permit me appreciate members of the high table, the keynote speaker, and everybody on this event, the chairman of NMA Enugu State, and the distinguished members of his association. I have the honor to share what I consider a crucial topic for the health sector in this country. And it beats my imagination that I'm supposed to be rounding off even before I start. The sub-theme lecture is Medical Entrepreneurship in Nigeria, Challenges and Prospects. Medicine as a profession was conceived on the foundation of humanitarianism next door to the clergy in the course of history. Nothing remains the same with time, however, as everything changes except change itself. Man's experimentation with the socialization process, population explosion, regulatory policies of governments and leadership initiatives, economic and political transformations, global reorientation, increased learning and knowledge, the impact of science and technology, capital disruptions and social orders, etc., have left nothing the same over time, and medicine is not exonerated from the sweeping wind of change in human affairs. Going down memory lane, time was when medical care was exclusively a compassionate experience, where the practitioner, like an anointed prophet, went about offering healing to the sick and suffering at no cost to them. It graduated to the era when the sick received care and chose what to offer in appreciation, not compensation for the physician's services. Today, in a world that has run amok, disrupting every known index of society, as it continues to advance itself, solving problems and creating more than it is solving, it has spared nothing, including the noble practice of medicine, the symbol and radiance of humanity. Whatever advancements that may take place in medicine and whatever sophistications that may follow medicine can only remain medicine if it sustains its enduring legacy and traditions of ceding the greatest priority to human life beyond all other considerations. Its humanitarian content must be defended and preserved. Over the years, the practice of medicine has continued to be determined by state policies and regulations of government of nations. From healthcare being entirely free to becoming subsidized, the world has witnessed a progressive mix of both and advancing beyond it. Essentially, healthcare financing is transiting from out-of-pocket payment to contributory health insurance option. Medicine and medical practices may never revert to the pro bono status of the ancient, but the world order must not allow healthcare swing in the wind, where only the rich can access care. Especially now that WHO has defined and assessed health as a fundamental human right. About 1852, the first modern hospital was set up in Lagos, Nigeria. What we have today as medical practice owes its origins to this time of the missionaries. In this era, it was medical care that was largely dispensed free of charge. On the other hand of this care, it was supplemented by the gospel of salvation, a part component of the mission. In this time, facilities were built and managed by the mission, supported by their home government. Equipment, medications, and consumables were supplied from England at no cost to the management team. Hospital management then had no tax and many other statutory obligations to the state that cut into their financial health. In that time, management was not subject to capital flights and other contending investment forces. Above all, profit making for sustenance was not part of management considerations. They were more or less a non-for-profit practice. Over time, the governments of the land at various levels established health institutions to support the growing demands. Initially, these government outfits were fashioned after the example of the missions in being free or highly subsidized, as government funded the shortfall in their balance sheet from the common purse. Soon, individual private investors got involved in setting up medical facilities. Their intervention became necessary for several reasons. The demand on the health system couldn't be met by the missions and government alone. With increased population, awareness, and improved health-seeking behavior of the populace, the private sector interest came in to fill the gap in this need. As it was then and still is, private investors are solely responsible for their success or failure in the adventure of investing in healthcare, unlike the missionaries and government. Funding, raising physical structure, human and material resource management, and development rest squarely on their shoulders. To this, successfully, there is an acute need to balance humanitarianism and profitability, knowing that the only way to keep the hospital going is to make profit. This marks the beginning of the concept of medical entrepreneurship, an ideology where the graph of Medicare crosses that of business considerations. Here, gaps in the healthcare ecosystem are identified and products and services developed to meet them, improving customer outcomes, enhance efficiency, and the general quality of life. Aspect of the business orientation addresses creativity, innovation, and brand, being responsive to the principles of fairness, social justice, competitiveness, comparative advantages, and market share in the business space, while preserving obligations and allegiance to address the inadequacies of life. This is why hospital concerns are not recognized strictly as business establishments in law, or social services. They do more than strict business to include social welfare support in care. Medical entrepreneurship is applicable both to the private and public sectors of our health industry. Permit me, therefore, state at this point that much as it is extremely important for the private medical investors to be profitable, to remain sustainable, the public sector ought to do the same rather than remaining to be pampered by allocation from government. These interventions are necessary for both public and private sectors as startups for growth and stabilization, but should not be perpetuated, as this carries with it the risk of infusing apathy and loss of vision into the management psyche, jeopardizing corporate governance, efficiency, and financial competence. For similar reasons, measured performance is not only uncompetitive but lacks, but they know that a bailout is always there. This also places a question mark on the status of such organizational leadership qualifying to be honored with the title of medical entrepreneurs. Medical entrepreneurship as a new paradigm. In many economies of the world today, medical practice has become key domestic and foreign income generating sectors. In India, the health and medical sectors employ over 50 million jobs, and it is valued at over $500 billion. In the US, the health and medical industry revenue is about $2 trillion. Health and wellness is no longer business as usual. Health is life, and health is wealth to every man, and now to the nation as well. This is the paradigm shift. Healthcare has become a key pillar of the economies of the world and a major employment of essential labor. Medical business or medical entrepreneurship touches on a very sensitive interest that makes all the difference. The lives of people, it is the business of life. It is a business that affects everybody, an essential business everybody needs, for the sick needs it to be well, and the well needs it to remain healthy. By this, everyone beside the doctor and every man next door to the doctor is a business opportunity for the doctor. Stretching this a little further, the best business and the biggest business is the business that has the demand to meet the highest needs of people. And after food, there is no greater human daily need than Medicare. Men and nations of the world that understand this have revealed the treasures that lie in the healthcare as the world's potentially largest business venture. For unlike food, healthcare is beyond the man on the street. No venture that desires to be sustainable can afford not to be driven by the forces of profit and loss. Even the church, the least considered of propagating business interests. The only way a venture can be sustainable without the entrepreneurship of profitability is for it to have funding from outside the business, such as we saw with the missionaries and governments. The second statement I wish to make here, as I proceed with this discourse, is that it is difficult not to have a successful medical practice in a country with a population of over 230 million people, as long as you constantly interrogate your processes and remain creatively innovative to continuously improve operations and service delivery, giving every inch of your contact with the customer a dose of compassion. The third statement is to re-echo my earlier statement that every man out there is a market. The church or mosque, the school, wherever you see anybody, That man or woman or child is an opportunity to excel in your business as a doctor in practice. The fourth important statement is to be put out here that medical entrepreneurship is beyond clinical sophistication at all levels. The professorial content of the medical professor is only a foundation to what he needs to be a medical entrepreneur. Medical entrepreneurship is larger than diagnosis and prescriptions and larger than heroic surgical capabilities. Beyond the professorial skill of the professor, medical entrepreneurship is domiciled in the humanity of the emotional intelligence of the doctor in conduct, human relational management. It is the integral component of the clinician also possessing and exhibiting the convergent business and financial intelligence that inspire profitability. A fifth statement is that despite the myriad of challenges as will be seen soon, it is possible to succeed in the medical business of entrepreneurship by the definitions and limitations provided by this environment we call Nigeria. But having said that, it is possible to succeed. Nothing has helped medical entrepreneurship attain greater and smoother and faster transformation and growth than government intervention and collaboration in public-private partnership. This is the secret and strength of the largest entrepreneurial ventures across the world. But life often allows men choices, and medical entrepreneurship is one such theater where alternatives abound. The differential denominator will be in starting big or small, but either way, the destination is the same, though the arrival time may vary. Starting big or small, unless the right approach to human and facility management is applied, sustainability is questionable and profitability not possible. For while a single entrepreneur can rise from a two-bedroom practice to estates and chains of business streams in multiple locations, as in the case of Apollo India, $1 billion investment can shrink out of existence in time just by reason of administrative and managerial incompetence. Many years ago, the sermon about medicine and doctors aspiring to become students was that medicine is a humanitarian job, service to humanity. Even now, for those who still live in the old street of stagnation, the sermon has not changed. People who desire to be wealthy practicing medicine are advised to think again. But take away from this dialogue that there is a good news. There is good news. That song has been lost to the dynamics of creativity, innovation, and change. There is a new song, the song of the new paradigm, the song of opportunities and possibilities in medical entrepreneurship as can be found in any other sector of the economy if the principles are understood and applied diligently. The Indian experience will always come to mind in buttressing this shift from poverty to prosperity in medical practice. Before the 80s, India's health system was like any underdeveloped country, but a sudden change occurred from the early 80s when the health revolution in India took place. With inclusive, visionary legislations and government collaborations, Indian doctors across the world began to go back home. Permit me use Apollo Hospital India as a reference. Apollo is just one out of the several such breakaway success stories in the India health experience that has revolutionized medical tourism. In 1983, Dr. Pratap Reddy, a renowned cardiologist, returned to Chennai in India from America to help pioneer the revolution by establishing the first super specialty hospital, Apollo Hospital. Today, Apollo Hospitals has over 70 super specialty hospitals, none of which has less than 250 beds occupancy spread across India's 25 cities. Apollo is not just a hospital, it is a private hospital. As a private hospital, it is involved in medical practice at all levels of care and providing services that encompass every aspect of the value chain of the health system. They are involved in training and medical healthcare and manpower development, graduating students, professionals in all the healthcare professions. Nigerian teaching hospitals send their residents and consultants to Apollo and other such exclusive centers for professional development. Apollo Hospital has a capitalization of over 13 billion US dollars, making it the world 162nd most valuable company. Apollo employs over 6,000 doctors and multiple tens of thousands of other healthcare professionals. What is possible somewhere is possible anywhere if the principles are met. Nigerian doctors have distinguished themselves at home and abroad as some of the finest the world has made. They excel in diverse domains of medical inclinations. Given the appropriate environment, we are sure performers, but we cannot afford the luxury of waiting for everything to be available before we do something. Just as you are as a doctor sitting here, anything is possible, beginning with your believing that it is possible. The challenges. The Nigerian system recognizes hospitals as a social service setup, but does not implement this in action. Hospitals are still rated like banks and oil companies when it comes to social contributions, taxes, utility, levies, electricity bills, etc. When I was the president of the Association of Nigerian Private Practitioners, I embarked on the advocacy for special discounted electricity bill tariff for healthcare. It is still ongoing. The cost of capital is high in our own country. Interest rates as high as 33 to 35%. The same rates oil companies are giving. Poor budgeting. Despite the 2001 Abuja declaration by African leaders for a minimum of 15% of the annual budget to go to health, Nigeria is still struggling between 3 and 6%. Out-of-pocket payment for health is still the order of the day in our country, complicating the poverty of Nigerians. Poor health-seeking behavior by Nigerians, traditions and superstitions still confront healthcare as part of its problems. Poor infrastructure, insecurity, of course, poor remunerations, poor practice environment, and lack of inspiration for healthcare workers all combine to threaten the industry. Poor implementation of some of their own policies by government. In 2018, the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund was enacted by the Senate of this country. That fund, which represents at least 1% the consolidated annual revenue, was to be channeled to support state social health insurance programs and the private healthcare scheme on one hand, and on the other hand, to pay for medical emergency treatment in this country. Unfortunately, 7 years, more than 7 years after, nothing has happened to remunerating doctors across this country for emergency treatment done on compassion. Private doctors have put up claims that over 35 billion naira is owed them over the last 10 years for emergency treatment. Poor prioritization of healthcare in our country. At all levels, matters that border on healthcare seem to be given the least attention, beginning with the budget, as already seen. Corporate organizations rank staff treatments a priority, but minimize the urgency in paying the bills. Some prominent establishments in this country don't pay hotel bills. They pay bills in advance. They pay in advance to hotels, deposits, but are late in responding to medical claims. What a priority. Poor attitude and against the private sector. Our government ought to bridge both private and the public sector, bring them together, harmonize them, knowing, as I always say, there is no private malaria, there's no public malaria. There's no private health and no public health data. Nigerians are Nigerians, and the government is the government of everybody. The low private sector investment interest in healthcare. All over the world, from India to the Americas, investment in the healthcare industry is a huge opportunity because healthcare is another cash cow. And for those who still live by oil, it is the deepest oil well. But back home in Nigeria, we still see hospitals as a dome for the sick and the suffering, and where no opportunity for return on investment exists. But this is not true. We have continued to call on Nigerian investors to turn their attention to the health industry. A country of 230 million people, with everybody a client, is a great opportunity. Becoming a medical entrepreneur, yes, anybody can be a medical entrepreneur as long as you have vested interest and you are part of what it takes to grow that industry. But for the purpose of this discussion, we're talking about the doctor, medical practitioner, and entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship encompasses the entire service delivery point of the value chain. The oldest of them is the hospital industry. But beyond that, we have in diagnostics, healthcare management, pharmaceuticals, logistics, human resource management, quality assurance audit, internal control, healthcare data, etc. The compound word for emotional intelligence, and as it's embarked upon as pillar of medical entrepreneurship, is the attitude of the professional. That is the biggest gap we have today. Because if you want to be an entrepreneur, it is not enough to know your business. It is more important to know how much value you bring to the client. And for the doctor, beyond your training, beyond your competence, beyond your surgical prowess, the customer will rate you by what value you bring to his psychology. And that is the content of the humanity you bring to the table. What options do we have in the midst of devastating environmental conditions for entrepreneurship? Group medical practice is encouraged. Come together as doctors, synergize. The ECO experience is there for us to reference. Private equities, friends can come together to empower you. Mergers, strategic franchise, collaborations, PPP. Government cannot do everything. They need you because more than the clinical interest in hospitals. The advantage of your managerial skill is what will keep any hospital going. The prospects. The most important prospect for us in this country, the way things are, is hope. For a country that long enjoyed medical tourism, selling haircare to the king of Saudi Arabia, his family, the emirs, and his countrymen in the 70s, now becoming a take-off ground for millions of Nigerians abroad, we can only call upon hope as a major indicator. As a young medical student, I was inspired to become a cardiothoracic surgeon, watching Dr. Araj, now Professor Emeritus, tear the chest of men open and divert their blood through external heart-lung machines and bring the man back to life. I said that was the place to be. The same UNTH is not able to do basic things. At a time, it should have become a global institute for cardiothoracic surgery. Something is wrong. We cannot therefore have hope upon hope. It can only be hope if 20 years after, Nigeria has not covered more than 10% of its population. It can only be hope if, despite losing more than half her healthcare force to the United Kingdom and other parts of the country, our leaders still carry on as if nothing is happening. It can only be hope if, despite the daunting gaps in the health system, with Nigeria almost becoming the country with the highest health burden, and our governments are still allocating barely 5% of the annual budget to health. It can only be hope if, despite the appalling state of our health sector revealed by COVID-19, we have not done much different today. It can only be hope when a nurse in the United Kingdom earns more than a professor of medicine in Nigeria. It can only be hope if the Nigerian government has not seen the suffering of Nigerians enough to not only classify hospitals as essential social service and align their taxes and tariffs to reflect same in line with global best practice. It can only be hope because the hope is that one day the Nigerian government will come to its senses and put the health of its citizens above every other consideration and treat it accordingly, knowing that the greatest wealth of the nation is the health of the people. It can only be hope because by hope alone can we expect that a wise government will rise to declare emergency on the health sector of Nigeria. But there is truly hope. Beyond government and appropriate environmental investment indices, it is possible to succeed with medical entrepreneurship if we follow the path already enumerated. The time has come for the government to declare a state of emergency in the health sector and halt the drift that is driving the system to the precipice. The country needs, as a matter of urgency, appropriate health budgeting, radical reformation and transformation of our health insurance structure to ensure universal health coverage. Incentives of waivers, utility subsidies, tax rebates, grants, and establishment of health bank to allow single-digit and long tenure loans, etc., especially bringing peace, harmony to the health sector. Beyond hope in the system, as doctors, build hope in yourself and go beyond hoping by doing something. Your modest clinic has the potential of the greatest hospital in the world in it if you are vision-driven, structured, running with set protocols and system compliant, have respect for professionalism and ethical conduct, a good student of corporate governance, an intentional relationship manager, accountable, quality focused, consistent, and patient. In conclusion, my most significant experience in practice is the mystery in the amazing power of little things in defining how far we can go in attaining our set goals in life. Things as little as courtesy, a smile, gratitude, communication, relationship building, trust, integrity, humility, serving to satisfy, being nice, a willingness to help, compassion, focused attention can give the greatest opportunity. I have also established that the difference between two professionals is not what they do, but how they do what they do. Not what they say, but how they say what they say. Doctors all do the same thing, but patients prefer some to the others. The reason is in the how. A doctor is not just what his certificate says he is, but what his patients say he is, by the value he adds to the patient's total satisfaction beyond treatment. A measure of the content of the doctor's humanity. The doctor must think, talk, and act like a doctor to be a doctor. And this is not possible except he be compassionate, the very foundation of humanitarianism. The health sector in Nigeria is yet a huge unexplored market with endless opportunities beckoning on the doctors to set in to them. Artificial intelligence is here, and the way to go is not to wait for others to perfect the skill as it affects medicine while we sit back and watch. A case in point is the experience of doctors with the Nigerian health insurance scheme. Why the doctors live in denial and rejection and lamentation and gesticulating in the dark. Strangers invaded the health insurance space 90% and are lording it over the doctors today. The doctors should lead and control their world. We should take back our medical businesses, and it begins with the knowledge of what is and how what works and the desire to achieve. I congratulate the NMA and MDCAN on the bold step they took to establish an HMO. The more aware and involved doctors become with what affects their practices and how best to get involved, the closer we will get to declaring Uhuru. Most doctors perceive their investment domain to be confined to hospital practice, but if this is where we choose to occupy, then let us be told that Apollo Hospital India is one man's dream. It is possible, and it starts with a dream. And ladies and gentlemen, dreams are free. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Medical entrepreneurship challenges and prospects. Ambassador Dr. Ugu Ikechukwu Odo. Let's appreciate him once again. Thank you. With the permission of the chairman of this event, His Excellency Dr. Okwesileze Nwodo, we are going to invite for the keynote speaker. On that, I invite Dr. Chris Akpa to come and read the citation of Dr. Chukwumuanya Igbeku, who is the keynote speaker of this event. I invite you to be on your feet while the citation goes on. Thank you.
Yes, sir. His Excellency, the former governor of Enugu State and the chairman of this August meeting, Dr. Okwesileze Nwodo, and other members of the high table, permit me to stand on the already existing protocol. May I take the bio sketch for Dr. Igbeku Chukwumuanya? Dr. Igbeku Chukwumuanya is currently the Southeast Zonal Coordinator of the World Health Organization, Nigeria. He previously served as the State Coordinator of the World Health Organization, Anambra State, from 2019 to 2022, and as a WHO National Consultant from 2012 to 2019. I'm going to go to the last paragraph. I won't disobey my boss. Dr. Igwe is a member of many international organizations, including the International AIDS Society, the International Federation of Human Rights Organization, the Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria, and a fellow of the Institute for the Study of Human Rights at Columbia University in the city of New York. He is happily married with 4 children.
Ladies and gentlemen, standing before us, Dr. Chukwumwanya, as the keynote speaker, will be speaking to us for 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Appa, for the abridged version of the introduction of my humble self. Distinguished chairman of this occasion, His Excellency Dr. Wesley Odo, former executive governor of Enugu State. The distinguished medical elders here present, the royal father, the chairman of NMA Enugu State, elders and past leaders of NMA. Please permit me to stand on already established protocol because time is no longer on our side. I want to first start by thanking the NMA for inviting me to deliver this keynote speech. I'm humbled by the presence of distinguished medical elders here in our midst and colleagues, both senior and junior. And I also want to recognize in a special way the state coordinator of WHO in Enugu State, Dr. Ades Ugu, who is actually my host in Enugu State. So I'm going so that you can follow my thoughts. I'm going to be showing a few slides as I progress in the presentation. Hopefully that will engender your interest, and you can follow me as I'm going to also deliver an abridged version of this presentation, and hopefully it can be available to members. I will give it to the chairman to give to members who may want to have copies of it. So last year, 2024, April to be precise, the Business Day newspaper headlined a new presidential initiative on unlocking Nigeria's healthcare value chain, launched by His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the thrust of that was aimed to attract substantial new investments into Nigeria's healthcare system and to stimulate local manufacturing, reduce drug costs, and implement other transformative activities that will boost the health system. The initiative was about unleashing the power of the private sector to bring about medical industrialization and maximize value. And it may interest you also to know that the healthcare value chain is already embedded in the most recent strategic blueprint of the federal government of Nigeria, and also the health compact that was signed by the federal government and the 36 states governors under the aegis of Nigerian Governors Forum, and also development partners represented by the World Health Organization. So you can see clearly the third stand of the strategic vision for health sector 2023 to 2026 clearly talks about unlocking the health value chain. Also, if you look at the Nigeria Health Sector Renewal Initiative that was launched by both the federal and state governments, you also see the healthcare industrialization program that is pursuing the strengthening of the health value chain. On numerous occasions, I've also had His Excellency Barrister Peter Mba, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, talk about healthcare value chain in many of his public speeches and remarks. So the topic you have chosen, healthcare as a value chain, building efficiency from policy to patients, is a very topical one that is already high in the political agenda. And I want to congratulate the NMA for choosing this topic. But we must recognize that the healthcare sector and the healthcare industry are the cornerstone of societal well-being, encompassing a vast array of services, from primary care and preventive health to specialized medical treatments, to pharmaceutical manufacturing and health insurance. There is also an escalating demand for quality healthcare services and medical innovations. Patients are demanding more from practitioners. A lot of our patients have already Googled what seems to be like their medical condition before they even appear at the consulting room. So they know quite a lot. And when they know a lot, they usually ask a lot of questions. So my task today is to explore healthcare functions as a value chain and how efficiency can be built across its stages, especially within our context, the context of Nigeria and Enugu State, to ultimately benefit patients and societies at large. So let's begin. What is really healthcare value chain? So the healthcare value chain refers to the comprehensive sequence of various activities and resources involved in delivery of healthcare services to population, underlining the word sequencing. And it encompasses various components. Some are classified as primary, while others are support services. The primary services are the core functions of delivering healthcare, as patient care, clinical services, and operational management. And they are the core processes which involves the actual provision of medical care to patients, tailored to the unique nature of healthcare. So you will see that the approach of the value chain, using the approach of value chain to really understand health service delivery, is one that seeks to connect the policies of governments to the care that patients receive. It aims to identify inefficiencies and also enhancing patient outcome, which is actually the underlying phrase in this whole discourse, and also looks at things from the holistic point of view that values all stages of care for the overall patient satisfaction and system improvement. So what are some of the critical components of a healthcare value chain? So you start from, I deliberately put research and development to be first because that is often the weakest, especially in our climate. A lot of times we don't invest much in research and development, and that may have accounted for the slow growth and development of our own indigenous medical technologies that will serve our patients better in our country and in Africa generally. So you have service delivery, which is at the heart of the healthcare value chain. You have financing mechanisms. The sub-team speaker had already talked a lot about some of these aspects, so I'm not going to bore you. Then you have the governance and policies, which talks about government being the one that sets the policies and regulations that ensure that quality and oversight in healthcare is maintained. You have the human resource, healthcare professionals, both doctors, nurses, and all the other allied healthcare professionals working together as a team to be able to deliver for the patient. And this is really important because without healthcare is a multidisciplinary endeavor. Without every member of the health team working in cohesion, it will be impossible to deliver value to patients. And we have seen this when one aspect of the human resource for health goes on strike, industrial action. It often paralyzes and negatively affects the other ones that are not on strike. So at every point in time, for you to have an optimal healthcare delivery system, all the members of the health team need to be in sync. And I would advocate that perhaps negotiation for remuneration should be joint so that not when one sector gets, subsector gets, the others start agitation. If you can be very holistic, it will really go a long way to maintain industrial harmony. And the doctors, as the natural leaders of the health sector, must be the one to lead and bring every other person together. It's interesting, and you may think that they are not willing to come together under the leadership of doctors. But we have to start from somewhere, and if we're able to do that, I think it will be in the overall interest of our patients. Then we look at major themes. What does the understanding the healthcare value chain seek to achieve? It seeks to ensure quality of care. You agree with me that it's not just going to the hospital or going to the health facility. Patients, what matters to patients often is the quality of care. Is the system optimizing benefits? Is there involvement of all the stakeholders? So each link in the healthcare value chain contributes to the overall value delivered to the patients. When these components are aligned and optimized, you will see that healthcare systems become more responsive, more equitable, and more sustainable. And I'm going to demonstrate it to you when we go over to comparative health system of 4 countries. And you will see in practical terms what I am talking about. So, like I said earlier, we have both the primary and the support services. So these are just examples of the support services: procurement of medical supplies, technological development, human resource management. Remember, we talked about human resources. Now we are talking about human resource management, infrastructure and facility management, and then also regulatory compliance. A healthcare system performing at its optimal allows medical and health institutions to provide patients with the best care by ensuring that they have supplies and treatments they need when they need them. A lot of us have had to be frustrated when a patient needs oxygen and the health facility or the hospital says they have run out of oxygen. Patients need drugs, essential drugs, and they say they are stock out. These are the things that a properly managed healthcare value chain can sort for us and make service delivery very, very proficient and seamless for patients. So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture, you must have taken notice that the healthcare value chain is neither exclusively about the private sector involvement in health, nor is it pathognomonic with public sector investment in healthcare. Yes, it has so many aspects that has to do with private sector involvement. When you talk about the big pharma industries, R&D, new medicines and biologicals, but that's not all. There are key aspects and components and drivers of the healthcare value chain that have their fulcrum in the public sector. Therefore, for the health sector in our country to harness fully the benefits of an optimized healthcare value chain, it must, as a matter of urgency, pursue and nurture a mixed health system where the private practitioners and the private sector plays a major role, while together with the public sectors, and both of them can actually thrive and complement each other. The players must all be involved. So in the health sector value chain, you have the players. Central are the patients who are the center of our practice. We have the healthcare providers, hospitals, clinicians, we have the payers, the suppliers, the pharma industry, the regulators. All of them have to play their parts for us to have a fully functional value chain system. So if we look at the framework for Nigeria, because of our context is a bit different, and I'm going to show you, for want of time, I'm going to skip some slides. So if you look at the value chain for Nigeria, looking at our context, I'm going to discuss it as four layers. The input layer, the core activities, the support services, and the output layer. So you see that the input layer talks about all the things I've talked before: policy, governance and regulation, funding sources, human resources, procurement, HR, and HR management, because of the peculiarities of our environment. And the core activities are the core functions that the health system performs: health promotion and prevention, primary care services, secondary and tertiary, and even veterinary care. I've marked it in yellow because we've not really, especially in this part of the country, had hospitals that can provide that level of veterinary care. But thank God, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, is building one for us, just behind me. And we are hoping that by the time the international hospital is completed, our people will be able to access veterinary care at an affordable cost. Let somebody shout amen. So these are the core activities that needs to happen if we are going to get it right in terms of the healthcare value chain. And then we also have the support services, training and capacity building. Very, very critical. ICT and telemedicine, to be able for people in underserved communities to have access to consultations with specialists. And then you also have logistics and supply chain management. Then for the output layer, you will have what happens after you have put everything together. What should we expect? We should expect that there will be improved patient outcomes. The mortality will go down. We will be able to increase access and equity to health services. And the system will become more efficient, cost effectiveness, reduced waste, and timely delivery of services. I give you example. Sometimes when those days when I was not in Enugu, I worked a lot in the north. My mother would call me and say that she's going to Park Lane for her eye care. And I bet you she will come to the hospital early in the morning. And when I call her by 3 p.m., she's still in the hospital. So that is a lot of waste of time for patients, and it's something that we need to work on. It's part of that timely service delivery that our patients are yearning for. So what are the key challenges confronting the healthcare value chain in our country? This is so top on the list. It has already been mentioned. Inadequate funding. We all know this, and we chorus it. The agreement in Abuja some years ago that every country and every subnational should have at least 15% of their total budget allocated and released for health. We are still pursuing it. Heavy reliance on out-of-pocket expenditure. 70% of our population of Nigerians will pay out of pocket, and that is leading to a lot of catastrophic health expenditures for families. Limited health insurance. We have just 21 million Nigerians that are covered by health insurance out of 230. So that's still less than 10% of the population. Infrastructure, human resource shortages. Of course, we all know about Japa syndrome. WHO recommendation for doctor-patient or doctor-population ratio is 1 in 1,000. In our country, the Honorable Minister of Health for State just recently said we are training 1 doctor to 3,500 patients. And then we rely so heavily on imports of our medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. And that's what it does is that it helps the proliferation of fake medicines and counterfeits. And NAFDAC says in one of their studies that up to 40% of the drugs circulating in our country are counterfeit. So if you're a good doctor, you have done everything good. You have diagnosed properly, you have given the right medicine. If the medicine turns out to be fake drug or counterfeit, the patients will lose their trust in you. And that's one of the things that are happening. Even the Association of Community Pharmacists of Nigeria says the figure is as high as 50%. So it's a major challenge for our healthcare delivery system. We also have issues of outbound medical tourism. Our country loses $1 to $2 billion annually on outbound medical tourism, citizens seeking for care abroad because they have low confidence in our healthcare services, high disease burden, and supply chain challenges that lead to frequent stockouts. So because we talked about health insurance coverage less than 10%, you will see that these are some of the reasons people are not even aware of health insurance. People are too poor to subscribe to health insurance. There is distrust and low satisfaction among the population of the healthcare we deliver. So those are major challenges that our health system faces. So what are the strategies to build efficiency in the system? The first thing we need to do or start doing is to enhance the workforce. The workforce is the bedrock of the health system. If we are not able to do that, it will not, the chain will be broken at that sequence. And for the value chain to be able to work properly, we will need to fix all the chains that make up the value chain. So I have a proposal for the government, especially governments in Nigeria and Enugu State. So why don't you, they talk about Jabba syndrome. Why are doctors leaving? Why are nurses leaving? They are leaving because, one, they want better life for themselves and for their children. Secondly, some also are leaving because of the insecurity that is becoming a big problem in our country. So for the first part, is it possible to solve the problem? Yes. By giving these doctors and health workers enough dose of incentives. If you're able to give a car loan to a doctor after just 3 years of service, and you're able to give him mortgage after 5 years of service, and you're able to assure him or her of opportunities for specialized trainings, for continuous medical education, I believe some of them will stay back. Not everybody really wants to go to abroad. Some want to stay back. And so that's one of the challenges I'm throwing to our government. Beyond the full implementation of the COMES, these additional incentives must be kicked in so that the young ones, the upcoming doctors, and even the established ones can reconsider and stay back. Infrastructure and technology is one area we must also invest in. This is the age of artificial intelligence, AI. How many of us are integrating artificial intelligence in our work, in our clinical practice? Because they can help you make faster diagnosis. They can help you enhance your work. They can help you better keep records. And so those are the things that we must be investing in. Service delivery, which is at the center, must connect to the patient. The something speaker had already talked extensively about that. The nuances, how you do things, how you treat patients really matters. So I'm not going to dwell so much on that. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a small survey now. So assuming you are a middle-aged, middle-class citizen who has up to 5 million in insurance coverage, reimbursement for unexpected health emergencies. You suddenly fall sick, and you have the option to choose between 4 countries: Nigeria, the UK, Germany, and US to seek medical care. Your benefactor also promised that whichever country you choose, they are going to provide you with a round-trip economy flight tickets and for one person accompanying you. So if you are asked out of these 4 countries, which one would you choose? So those that want to choose Nigeria, I expect people to be patriotic. So I expect that every hand should be up. So those that want to choose Nigeria, can I see your hand up? So can you count for me? The MC, can you count for me? Quickly, quickly. So those that want to go choose UK, can you raise your hand up, UK? Can you count for me quickly? 17. UK. Count. Huh? 7. Wow. Those that want to choose Germany. How many people? How many? Huh? 5. Okay. Those that want to fly to the US. So just count. So US, how many? No, just count. Just count. Let's say that the US they are 50 or let's say 100. No, just quickly. So quite interesting. This was not actually what I expected, but it's okay. Okay. Some years back, I was a visiting scholar at Columbia University in the city of New York. And so I had the opportunity to see firsthand what the US healthcare system is. And I witnessed it because I fell sick on a few occasions and I had to encounter the system. I also had, in fact, that was when I developed interest in comparative health systems because I had the opportunity to audit a course there. So I'm going to show you the results of your choices, the 4 countries that you have chosen. So I'm going to summarize their health system. So Nigeria, mixed public-private system, limited coverage, you already know, less than 10% health insurance, mostly out of pocket, poor access and outcome. Germany, mixed universal multi-payer system funded by payroll and taxes with excellent access and outcome. Over 90% of the population are covered. UK, single payer, the NHS pays for almost everybody. Tax funded. Coverage good. Access good, but sometimes you have to wait very long time, especially when you need specialized care. United States, your favorite country. Mixed system, partial coverage, uneven access, mixed outcomes, complex health system, millions and millions are uninsured. So what is the result? The outcome, a lot of the outcome for your favorite country is often poor for patients, despite them being the most expensive. If you have chosen UK, yes, good. If you have chosen Nigeria, the results can be mixed, sometimes, often, frequently poor. But if you have chosen Germany, you are sure to get a very excellent service that will deliver value for your money. And these are the indicators. So for those of you that chose US, you may have to consider because you may eventually end up paying more than the 5 million that is your cap, and you still not get the best of healthcare. So what makes Germany unique? Germany is unique because they practice a mixed system that gives decision-making power to both the joint decision-making power to the public, and they've been able to bring their private sector in. And efficiency in access and choice patients get to choose whether they go to the public or the private. So because of that, the private practitioners are bound, very much bound, and the same capitation fee they pay to the public health sector, that's what they pay to the private sector. Strong health outcomes, a strong emphasis on preventive care, and they score very high in medical tourism. A lot of our politicians go to Germany to seek medical care. So, what is the signal from Enugu State as we round up this discourse? What are the things happening in Enugu State that the government of His Excellency Dr. Peter Mbai is doing? The first thing is that there is a digital transmission of healthcare services across the PHCs, where they are using e-health tablets to capture basic data of patients. And this digital shift is expected to reduce patient wait times and improve quality of care. There is also infrastructural expansion and modernization. Colleagues have talked about the 260 healthcare type 2 PHCs across all the 260 geopolitical wards. There is also the quaternary aspect of quaternary health that I already talked about. The state has a health insurance system, but it still needs to be improved upon. Just about 3% of the population is covered by the state health insurance system. There is also emerging strong governance and policy support, and the state is actively collaborating with the World Health Organization. And I will show you in the next few slides the result of that active collaboration with WHO. So these are the things I think Enugu State government can do more to build on the momentum of the efficiency they have built the past 2 years of the inception of the current administration. They must, as a matter of fact, accelerate completion and equipping of the type 2 PHCs and even the type 3. They must upgrade the general hospitals to truly offer secondary health care to the people. And they must invest in advanced state-of-the-art diagnostics and treatment in their existing tertiary hospitals. They already have two. There's the University of Medical Health Sciences, and there's ESUT, and then the ongoing construction of the quaternary hospital. They must deploy an electronic health workforce registry to be able to know the number and the quantity and the gap of their human resource for health. And they must do all the things that I've already mentioned. All the remuneration, the car loans. I'll be glad if His Excellency can offer car loans to all the doctors in the public health service. That would be huge. And then offer a mortgage to them to be able to build their own houses. They need to invest in IT, electronic medical records, so that transfer of patients can be seamless. Even if a patient is seen in PHC Enugu, by the time the patient reaches ESUT after referral, the records of that patient are already with the physician waiting to see the patient. These things can happen. We can do them, and it's within our reach to do them. Investment in blockchain technology, AI, to be able to secure the transfer of patients' data and file and information. They must accelerate health insurance to get to 70% of the population by 2031. And then we must do everything possible. The government has to do everything possible to attract private investment for private hospitals, for local manufacturing. Clearly establish some industrial hubs for pharmaceutical and medical device production. These are within the reach of the government. And so in conclusion, I think for the why does it really matter? It matters because the healthcare value chain is not really something new. It's just the how that we are talking about, the how of WHO 66 building blocks of a strong health system. The how in its operationalization, the how in sustainability. And for strategic alignment, the 6 building blocks of health that we all studied in medical school provides the policy guidance, while the healthcare value chain focuses on operational efficiency because it's the how. And I think promoting efficiency across the value chain and healthcare links will improve patient outcomes, will reduce operational costs. As we become efficient, will foster innovation and responsiveness, and then also enhance regulatory compliance. So finally, I want to say that efficiency in healthcare value chain is not a linear goal. So because they said it's a chain, just like in secondary school, we studied food chain and we studied what? Food web. So it's more of a web than a chain. For academic discussion, we usually use chain, but in reality, it's actually a web. It requires a lot of investment. It requires a lot of alignment of stakeholders. It requires embracing new ways of doing things, components of digital tools, collaborative governance, health systems that can deliver better at lower cost, ultimately improving lives from policy to patients. The future of healthcare hinges on the ability to seamlessly blend public health practice and clinical expertise with technological advancements. As the healthcare industry continues to evolve globally and in Nigeria, the importance of a robust and adaptable value chain cannot be emphasized. Viewing healthcare as a value chain shifts from the isolated interventions that we often have to systemic improvements, building efficiency across all links to deliver better outcomes, to reduce waste, and to ensure that every individual receives the care they need. This holistic approach is not just a strategy for improvement, it's necessary for achieving health equity and sustainability in the 21st century. It involves nurturing a mixed health system to enhance health value chain for the benefit of patients. Mixed health system, the public and the private coexisting and complementing each other. I want to say, what is WHO contribution to healthcare value chain efficiency in Enugu State? In 2025 alone, WHO is funding the 5 states in the Southeast to the tune of 5.2 billion naira, and is distributed across the states, with Enugu State receiving the highest share of this, probably because Enugu is the one hosting this Southeast Zonal Office. WHO, in partnership with UK Department of International Development, is providing, through a grant, medical, diagnostic, and ICT equipment, furniture, and vehicles to the 2 schools of nursing and midwifery in Enugu, the Parkland Teaching Hospital and the School of Nursing and Midwifery. These are valued in billions. And His Excellency will soon receive that from the WHO country representative within the next few days. That does not include the technical assistance we are providing to the states. WHO has state offices in all the 5 states, and we are embedded within state teams, supporting the government to develop their plans, providing health facility to improve quality of care, going for supportive supervision, and so many other things that we are supporting the government of Enugu State. So I felt, as the one speaking, I should be able to demonstrate what we are doing in practical terms to support the message we are singing. It is necessary for us to continue to improve to innovate and collaborate to build these efficiencies in the healthcare value chain to ultimately lead to a more effective, compassionate healthcare system that delivers from policy to patients and gives optimal care to our patients. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sixty. Let's appreciate the keynote speaker once again. The chairman of today's event, His Excellency Dr. Okwesili Ezenwodo. With your kind permission, may I inform you that we have the presence of one of our awardees, the executive chairman of Issues of Local Government, Honorable Barrister Obiora Obago. I welcome you. Equally, I acknowledge the presence of the following dignitaries: Dr. Kenneth Ubu, the State Coordinator of National Health Insurance Authority, Enugu State. No. And equally from the Civil Society Organization in Enugu State, Prince Chris Amalo, I acknowledge your presence, and the State Executive Director, Temple of Justice Foundation, Barrister Alex Umujogo. I welcome you, sir. Quickly, with the directive of the chairman, I will now invite for goodwill message. I invite from the Economic Financial Crime Commission, I invite the Zonal Director, EFCC Southeast, to come and speak to us for 120 seconds. Mr. Daniel Osel.
The chairman, His Excellency, former governor of Enugu State, our royal father, our spiritual father, every other member of the high table, please permit me to stand on very well-established protocol. I feel indeed very happy and excited to be invited to this Physicians Week. I was again really intrigued by the theme from policy to patient. And the message I got from there was very clear, which is that the focus of what the doctors are about is about humanity. So designing policy, putting infrastructure in place, taking those needed steps to ultimately speak to adding value to patients. In other words, improving humanity. And again, I'm trying to draw the lines to connect with what we do as an agency of government. What we do primarily is to also to ensure that the vital resources of government is deployed efficiently and adequately for a better living condition of Nigerians or for citizens. In other words, also trying to add value to humanity. And that gave me a sense of convergence. Oh yes, there could be increased collaboration, support, and partnership between what happens in the healthcare sector and what the ACAs and relevant government agencies will have to do together. And again, I congratulate the leadership for putting this together. And I'm also very happy to know that in spite of what has been said, that it's difficult putting doctors together under a roundtable to interrogate issues and work together collaboratively, the NMA Enugu chapter has been able to put this together, and that is very, very heartwarming. I'm also very glad to hear that, a range of challenges were put forward. And the last very erudite speaker gave a critical one, trying to make us choose areas where we will likely seek our medical healthcare services. And a host of us jumped at the United States of America. But one thing that was clear to me was another message I got in the course of presentation, which is that if it's done anywhere, applying the same principles and conditions, it can be done everywhere. In other words, those things that would ordinarily make us to seek medical conditions in Germany, in the US, and in the UK, if the right principles are applied in Nigeria, we will not be thinking of going outside our shores for medical tourism, provided the conditions that is making us to seek those outside are available to us locally. Right. So, and before I leave, I was given 120 seconds, right? The good news is that we are told that there is a major drive by the Enugu state government to give a new lease of life to medical or healthcare services in Nigeria via the Enugu state government as support. All I can say is that not one man will know it all. Your cooperation, your inputs, your technical support, your advice will add value to the overall impact and results of the political and policy initiative of the leadership of Enugu State. I thank you once again on behalf of my humble self, of my team, for considering the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for this event, for inviting us. All I can say finally is I will be ready. If we need our services, if you need our support, if you need our partnership in any way whatsoever, we'll be more than happy to partner with you. Thank you very much.
Let's appreciate the commander, Southeast Zonal Commander, Southeast EFCC. God bless you, Commander Daniel. Equally, I will now invite the General Officer Commanding 82 Division, Major General O.T. Olatuye, ably represented by Colonel A.A. Abolade, the Consultant Family Physician, Commander 82 Division Medical Services / Hospital, Enugu. He has 120 seconds, equally to felicitate with us. Thank you.
The chairman, sir, permit me to align with the already established protocol. Even at that, I would like to recognize the ancestral medical elders that are here and the distinguished other senior doctors and medical colleagues. I'm Colonel Dr. Adeyemi Alani Abolade. I'm the Commander, 82 Division Medical Services and Hospital. I want to say today that the commanding officer, the General Officer Commanding 82 Division Medical and the Southeast Operation Udoka, Major General Oluyemi Thomas, Olatoye would have been here today if not for the exigency of duty. But in his word before he left today was that this occasion is not just timely, but very visionary. And he said in his word that he is ready and ever ready to support the Nigerian Medical Association Enugu chapter anytime, any day. The General Officer Commanding reiterated that security should be our watchword. Security is everybody's business. For you to carry out adequate healthcare delivery in any society, there must be adequate security. And in that light, that we should all know that security is everybody's business. And he wants to reiterate and reaffirm his commitment to the support to Nigeria Medical Association Enugu chapter. And on behalf of the officers, soldiers, and 82 division, we want to say congratulations for a program like this. And we put our support anytime, any day. Thank you very much.
God bless you, the GOC 82 Division Enugu. Before we have the group photograph, just another 120 seconds. I invite you, the Executive Chairman of Isuzo Local Government, Honorable Barrister Obiora Obago, to talk to us. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. The Chairman, His Excellency, Dr. Kwesileze Nwodo, the Chairman of the NMA, and other distinguished members of the high table. Please, I would want to stand on the existing protocol. First of all, I want to say a big congratulations to the Nigerian Medical Association Enugu branch for putting up this wonderful event to mark their week. I'm here because I'm a stakeholder, and we have been great beneficiaries of the NMA activities. The people officials or local governments, we have partnered with NMA and the states. And it is important that we continue to forge that partnership. So I came in here a bit late because of the challenges of the office, but I made it a point of duty that I have to be here because the chairman has also, with some other partners, made some lasting impact in our work. So, as I say, congratulations to the doctors here. I want to encourage you to continue to use this platform to make positive impacts on our society for the benefit of humanity. Our leader, Dr. Peter Ndubisimba, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, has charged us to take healthcare seriously in the society. And today I'm happy that we have built that partnership both with the state government and with the NMA to continue to touch lives. For me, it is part of the essence of this gathering. We hear some things, news about what's going on regarding motivation. And that is why the theme of this gathering is important. And I believe that when some key resolutions from the discussions will be passed to the policymakers, it's going to help us to create a better environment, both for the doctors and for the patients. So thank you very much as you work for the benefit of humanity. And I will end by thanking the NMA for the work they are doing in Enugu State, in the society, and particularly in my locality. We will remain eternally grateful because we also have one coming shortly by tomorrow. And I can't thank you enough for that because the health of our people is important to us. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you, the Executive Chairman of Issues of Local Government, Honorable Barrister Obiora Obago. Let's appreciate him once again. Your Excellency, this is time for group photograph. With your permission. Is he here outside? Okay. After the group photograph, we are going to have the Health Summit to be anchored by Professor C.C. Obuabo. Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency. You may now present to us the closing remark. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think the first thing is to thank profusely the two keynote speakers who did very intensive research and presented very beautiful papers on the topics that they spoke to us on. Please, I want you to clap for them. The second thing is to thank all of us who are here. If the ceremony was not interesting, we'll be addressing an empty hall by now. But everybody has been patient, and I believe that we are all going home, having taken away one or two things that we have heard from these two papers that are presented today. And finally, I want to thank also the organizers of this event, the Medical Association, Nigerian Medical Association Enugu branch. As I said at the beginning, I didn't even know it was going to be as rich as this. And I said, you had surpassed my expectation. All I'm asking our colleagues from far and near is that we have to keep supporting the Medical Association if we want also to benefit And if you want us to be vehicle for sending health benefits to our people, it is by this participation that we can make genuine contributions as doctors to the healthcare delivery in our states. So please don't lose interest. Instead, what has happened today should buoy your interest in participating in the activities of the Nigerian Medical Association. With this, I want to thank you all and wish you safe return to your bases. Thank you so much.
That's a wonderful one. Please, for the group photograph, the BOT will join them, BOT members will join, and the mayor of the issues of local government will equally join them for the group photograph. Thank you.
Exclusive from 4nahub.com.
Girls fighting over Gemini and Pisces. Every corner it's war and crisis. Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda and ISIS. How come the poor people are the nicest? Africa blessed with a lot of beautiful history. But these people make you feel like everything's a mystery. They make you live lives in a jittery. We pray to God Father to give us victory. Take a look around the city now. No one about the meeting now. That she is cute now. You know they are duty now. If all of this big booty now, all you do is booty now. So she's the one.
Please, the BOT members, please, can you come up to join? And the state coordinator of National Health Insurance, Dr. Obu, please join. Thank you.
The business that's for the people. I'm all that not people now. For that I get no tipping now. She have school no tipping now. False prophet them preaching now. Acting them teaching now. They can't them preaching now. And the word I'm preaching now. Who am I to be teaching now? But everything in the region now. I'm preaching now. For the Lord, it's not put me now. So,
After the group photograph, we are going into the health summit proper to be anchored by a distinguished professor, Professor Right Honorable C.C. Ogwabo. Why the health summit will be going on? The chairman of this event, His Excellency, has graciously granted that we'll be having the health summit together with lunch. So the lunch will be going on gently while the summit will be equally flowing together. Thank you. Those to help us to rearrange the stage. If you are involved, let's do the needful. Let's rearrange the stage immediately. Let's rearrange the stage. Thank you. Let's put the stage in order now. Let's put the stage in order, please. Thank you. Some people they must be too. Let's put the stage. I must go finish the verses. If my voice in the The members, our distinguished panelists, includes Professor Uche Enoch Obonna, Dr. Afam Obidike, Dr. Ekuma Moses Ikenna, Professor George NMA Enugu, the Honorable Commissioner, Right Honorable Professor C.C. Ogwabo, Dr. Chioma Egu, that should be the Commissioner for Health, Imo State, Dr. Kenneth Obu, Barrister Lex, Prince Chris, Amalo, please. These are the distinguished panelists for the next section, the Health Summit proper. Thank you. To be anchored by distinguished professor. A professor of health economics will be leading the team. Professor Chukwuemeka C. Wow. Thank you.
Came to America, so lost stadiums and turn up at every time. Ooh, I go, be love, I'm all that. Wait for me, stop out. I start to relax. Don't be small, my time. Gonna be what you want, but don't come be me. All my life they try to put me on my knees.
Please, the servants should gently attend to participants accordingly. We'll be moving table by table. Table by table, no rushing. We'll start from the back row. We'll start from the back row, table by table, please.
Take it out. No, no. No. My life. They be trying to keep me down. I just.
Please, table by table. We are starting from the last row. Please come.
Go zoom, zoom, zoom. Don't like it. Zoom, zoom, zoom.
We have only two tables behind here. One by the left, one by the right. They should sit.
Bad energy, zoom, zoom, zoom. I be on.
Okay, please, everybody should get seated. They will serve you. You will be served, please. Thank you.
Why they on my thing? You not hesitate, that's why I got the confidence thing. If you got it, go track out of the way. When I'm talking, it's the end and that's the way. I won't react to the money, baby. My papa.
Sound check, 1, 2.
I'm really still reflecting deep in it.
Sound check, 1, 2.
And that's the way.
Sound check, 1, 2. Sound 1, 2. Sound 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2.
When they tryna hold me, I go zoom, zoom, zoom. Don't like a vibe, and I go zoom, zoom, zoom. Knowing I control you, go boom, boom, boom. Don't you ever treat me like a big moon, moon.
I pull up, like, how you pull up, baby? How you pull up? How you pull up? I pull up, step in the kitchen, let's go. Brand new Lamborghini, fuck a cop car. With a pistol on my hip like I'm a cop. Yeah. Whoever met her, nigga rock star. This ain't no guitar, bitch, this a clock. My Glock told me to promise you gon' squeeze me. Better let me go the day you need me. Put me on that nigga, get the bus. And if I ain't enough, go get the chop.
It's safe to say I earned it, ain't a nigga gave me nothing. I'm ready to hop out on a nigga, get the bus. Know you heard me say you play, you late, don't make me push the butt. Full of pain, dropped enough tears to fill up a fucking bar.
All right, thank you, DJ. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, DJ. Thank you. Thank you. We are going to invite the panel. Please, those standing before the food stand, go and get seated, please. The ushers will serve you accordingly. Thank you. May I respectfully invite our distinguished panelists, led by Professor Right Honorable C.C. Obuabo. Let's put hands together as he steps to the podium. Let's keep clapping. All right, may I equally invite Dr. Kenneth Obu, the State Coordinator of National Health Insurance Authority, Enugu State, to join Professor Obuabo. I equally invite Barrister Alex Umujogo, the Executive Director of Temple of Justice Foundation, to please come and join. And finally, I invite Prince Chris Amalo from the Civil Society Organization. Why they are getting seated, may I respectfully invite for an award. For an award, Dr. Sunday, please come. We are going to present an award to the speakers. First to receive is the keynote speaker of today's event, to be presented by His Excellency, the former Executive Governor of Enugu State. So, Your Excellency, please, can you come as I invite Dr. Chukwumwanya Ibuku, the keynote speaker of today's event. Let's put our hands together, please.
What else can do? No, that's distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I was being escorted out by Dr. Chukwumanya and congratulating him for his paper when we were ambushed and told that they have appreciation for him and they have this beautiful plate to present to him in appreciation for his coming to honor this invitation and to present such a beautiful paper. Doc, may God bless you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. May I equally invite the sub team presenter, the group managing director of Meridian Hospitals Limited, River State, Port Harcourt. As a steps up, may I invite the May I respectfully invite a member of the Board of Trustees of Nigerian Medical Association, Enugu State, Emeritus Professor Nene Obianyo, to come and make the presentation. To Ambassador Dr. Ugu Ikechukwu Odo.
A word of honor from the Nigerian Medical Association, Enugu State, presented to Ambassador Dr. Ugu Ikechukwu Odo, Group Managing Director, Meridian Hospitals Limited, in appreciation of his role as sub-team speaker.
Congratulations. 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 A great philanthropist, Dr. Ike Ugodo. All right, it is an honor to hand over to the panelists, to hand over to Professor Ogbuabo to continue with the health summits. Thank you. I know, I have to. For both of you. This one, right, this one.
Bon appetit. While we enjoy our very late lunch, we will attempt to hold a very brief dialogue. So I hope we listen with our ears while we eat. And I would like to welcome our panelists this evening. From my immediate left is Prince Chris Amalo, who represents civil society organizations on the Enugu task force on primary health care. And also CSO representative on the Oversight Committee on Basic Healthcare Provision Fund and of the Royal Healthcare Foundation. Prince, you're welcome. My immediate right, I have the state coordinator of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Kenneth Obu. Then we also have on the panel Barrister Alex Amujiogo. He is the Executive Director, Temple of Justice Foundation. We had expected the commissioners of health in the 5 Southeast states to be part of this panel. Unfortunately, they are not here. Unfortunately, also, we have had a long day and we just have, this is 5 p.m. So we will just hold a very brief discussion. The theme of this conference has been or is healthcare as a value chain. We listen to the keynote speaker. He spoke on healthcare as a value chain, building efficiency from policy to patient. And so we will be making this discussion around the key issues that he raised in the discussion. And he identified key challenges to the healthcare value chain in Nigeria. And we will take it from there. So I'm going to start with the very first issue that challenge that was raised is inadequate financing of the healthcare value chain or the funding of the health sector. Do we have evidence
that the funding in the health sector, yes, we do have evidence. NHIA, I'm going to start with you. The most recent National Demographic and Health Survey data, 2024, was just released last week or so. It shows that we have just about 5% coverage. 5% health insurance coverage. In fact, the national level for women, for men is 4.5%, and for women is 3.2%. In Enugu here, for men and women, we have just 2.1% of the population covered by health insurance. In practical terms, what it means is that, and which is also what we see in our data, is that over 80% of healthcare is paid out of pocket from Enugu. So how do we ensure that we can move from this level of 2.1% coverage to 70% coverage as proposed by the keynote speaker? Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. Yes, I agree with you that the percentage coverage of health insurance in Enugu State is quite low. But I can say that the keynote speaker from the WHO made my work so easy by outlining those things that made the health insurance coverage very low in Nigeria. But I believe that in Enugu State in particular, that we can increase coverage of health insurance in Enugu State if we're able to fix our supply side. If we're able to fix our supply side, it's unfortunate that the Commissioner for Health is not here, and we don't have the state government representatives here. We, as you know, this is my 6 months in Enugu State as the state coordinator of National Health Insurance Authority. And we found out that it is only in Enugu State, in the Southeast, it's only Enugu State that has not flagged up its formal sector program of social health insurance program. This is one of the factors that is militating against high coverage of health insurance in Enugu State. There is no, if you go to some of the PACs, we have about 260 wards, political wards in Enugu State. And if you go there across the PACs, you see that the condition of the PACs are very deplorable, except now that the government of the state is building type 2 health centers, but they are yet to be completed. So many of the people in Enugu State don't have confidence in the health system of the state. And the government is paying deaf ear to the plight of the people. Then the keynote speaker equally mentioned HRH, Human Resource for Health. In Enugu State, you go to some of these places where you have the greater percentage of the population in the rural areas. You see that the PACs are not working some of them are not working at all. You will hardly see, health workers in these PACs. Not talk of auxiliary workers or doctors, sorry. So if we are to fix the health system in the state and to increase health insurance coverage, we must fix our supply side and ensure that the budget for health is increased in Enugu State. Thank you very much.
So what we hear is that Enugu has not started its formal sector social health insurance program. Is that correct?
That's the only state in the Southeast that has not started.
So that's one area to improve. If we must increase the coverage of health insurance in Enugu. But sir, Enugu has predominantly an informal sector population. So how do we extend coverage to the informal sector?
Yeah, most other states have they had policies that enable citizens to key into health insurance. Those policies have not been made in Enugu State. For example, the policy that you must have your health insurance card before you engage in any dealings with the state government or any government. And to ensure that the local government, the people at the top tier of government, the local government areas, will have interests in healthcare delivery system by ensuring that the PACs in their locality ensure that all the health workers are seen at the PAC level. Because the most importantly, if you come to PAC and you don't see any health worker, the next day you don't see anybody. That is why I'm talking about confidence. They don't have confidence in this health system in the state. So if we were to increase health, health insurance coverage in this state, we must ensure. That's why I'm particularly mentioning a supply side. If we're able to fix our supply side, I don't think that we cannot increase coverage in Enugu State.
Thank you. Now I turn to you, Dr. Amalo. You represent CXOs on several committees of the Ministry of Health, the Primary Healthcare Committee, the Basic Healthcare Provision Committee. Now the government is investing in 260 type 2 primary healthcare centers across the political world. And the solarization of those health facilities. So the government is doing infrastructure. But we hear that the human resources is on the low scale. So how do we make the PHCs more functional in Enugu?
Thank you very much, Chairman, Professor Emeka Boabo. Distinguished participants, I want to represent these facts clearly. On the 22nd of October, precisely the Coordinating Minister of Health sent a red letter. It was captioned the red letter. And this red letter encapsulated the commitment of federal government in the release of 32.9 billion naira to fund the Basic Health Provision Fund. So the problem here is that as a representative of the voiceless, the poor women and the persons with disabilities, I think the problem is that we need to start being accountable. It's a call for all of us to show our stewardship, especially at the traditional rulership level, the religious leaders. And we also know that we have a structure in the wards, which we call the Ward Development Committees, which I believe that it is just comatose. So if we have, we're glad to have the representative of the traditional council here, Igwe Asadu Odogadagidi. I think it is their responsibility and the President Generals in Enugu State to sensitize our people to start asking questions, because across all the Basic Provision Fund is currently running ward. It means that across the 260 wards in Enugu State, we have one Basic Health Provision Fund, operational there. So the question is, how are we asking questions how these monies are spent? The answer is no. So this red letter is a call to action for all of us. And as a representative of the people, when that letter came, I tried to utilize available structures that I know to ensure that that information is disseminated to our people. So as NMA and their collaborators, I think it is pertinent, in as much as we don't have the policy makers here, that we itemize this as one of the action points to, in addition to what your rules are, possibly set up the policy aspects of the NMA, because in the policy aspect, you can now use that structure to ensure that good policies coming from the center and at subnational levels and the state levels are implemented, and our people are sensitized to know, to start demanding for their rights. That is what, when we start talking about human rights-based approach to health. So it is their right to access this set care, and it is their right to ensure that every kobo that is spent from the Basic Health Provision Fund, it is accounted and it is representative. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prince Amalo. Now, one critical gap is that we have primary health care infrastructure investment, but do we have matching human resources for health in those facilities to provide quality services? If we do not, what should we do? And how should we engage government to improve attraction and retention of primary healthcare workers?
Okay, so let me make this very clear. Part of the Basic Health Provision Fund, there is a provision for the primary health care to use some of the part of the funds they are receiving to recruit health workers. It could be ad hoc health workers that are providing these services. So they are supposed to recruit these individuals and pay them. However, Enugu State is also recruiting 4,000 community-based health workers. The advert has also been published recently, but as I still mentioned, it is not, we should not leave this recruitment process to these agencies. We should be asking questions, engaging with the primary healthcare managers at our health facilities, the WDCs, to ensure, because the purpose of this, one of the criteria for recruitment is that these community health-based workers must be residing in their localities. So there shouldn't be a point that somebody is coming from the outside. So outside the Basic Health Provision Fund, I think that Enugu State is also being very intentional. For instance, there are more health institutions in health. We have currently, in addition to other existing health institutions, the State University of Medical and Applied Health Sciences, SUMAS. But the point here is that if you look at what the keynote speaker, Dr. Chukwumanya Iweku, mentioned here, we should be very deliberate in incentivizing and ensuring that our health workers are, when trained, have enough incentives to be able to be here to work and provide these services. Without doing that, we end up being producers of these health workers, and they keep, jabbering. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, you can.
Beyond what Prince Amalu said, the concept of Basic Healthcare Provision Fund is that the whole states contributes 25% counterpart funding or provides what we call equity funding. And in Enugu State, the health insurance law provides that the state government shall provide 1% of its consolidated revenue fund towards the improvement of health insurance in the states. But as I speak to you now, Enugu State has failed to provide its own part of the agreement. As if Enugu State had provided this equity funding, definitely the State Health Insurance Agency would have increased coverage, because the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund, the NHIA has been paying to all the states their own part of the shares. But some states has failed to pay their counterpart, 25% counterpart funding. And if this money is paid, it is plowed back into the system to have more coverage. So the money that is being used now is only the money coming from NHIA. So the health sector actors in the state should ensure that the states either release their counterpart funding for basic healthcare provision fund or pay what we call equity fund. This equity fund, the counterpart fund is embedded in the equity fund. So if the state government pays 1% of the equity fund, there's no need for counterpart fund again. But if they pay 25% counterpart fund, then it is geared towards increasing the number of enrollments in basic healthcare provision fund. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm going to come back to the state co-financing mechanisms. But before then, I want to get the views of Barrister Alex Amujiogu. As a user of health services in Enugu State, what are your expectations? And are these expectations met? How can we use, or how can we strengthen the community accountability that has been enunciated by the previous speaker?
Thank you, the moderator. In fact, the end result of health services in Enugu State anchors on patients and the customers, the users, who are the communities, the locals, individuals, and everybody. We have a lot of expectations from the health service deliveries, from government and health workers as regard the impact of health system in the state. One, as health users, we expect quality services. The aims of any government in any country is that the people who they govern must be secured to their health system, especially right to life. If you don't have quality health system in a state, then the right to life is affected. And the purpose is to save life. If you don't have some principles, some relevant structures, infrastructure, policies, insurances being available for the people to utilize and to use, then you are trying to endanger their quality of life. So we expect the government to make healthcare services not to be only a policy. Let it be a fundamental right. Section 33 of the Constitution of Nigeria guarantees right to life, and that life must be made available to the people to enjoy. And secondly,
now, the question here is that the right to life, the right to health, those fundamental rights are not justiciable. So how can we use alternative mechanisms like community accountability, that is citizen-led accountability processes to make government to really make those health facilities more responsive from your perspective?
It is very important that we need strong awareness. Strong awareness. Citizens have the right to complain. Need to complain. But it's unfortunate that those that should complain are not complaining. I don't know why. If you don't have quality care health services, speak out. This is a forum, one of the forums for us to tell the government, look at what they should do and that they should do it.
So it is going to help if government facilities have a working complaint mechanisms.
Yes, it's very, very important.
It will help if the the health facility committees become more responsive in executing their roles.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. And I return back. Thank you. And I return back to the financing mechanisms because they are very, very key. Yes, the law, the Enugu State Health Sector Reform Law, provides for 1%, at least 1% of the, not just internally generated revenue, but consolidated revenue fund of the state to be allocated to insurance. There is also the provision for 25% counterpart funding of the basic healthcare provision fund. And none of this is working. So how can we enforce that?
Yeah, I think it is in the law establishing a Enugu State Agency for Universal Health Coverage and providing 1% for 1% consolidated revenue of the states as an equity funding. And then 25% counterpart funding. And all of this, the state government has not been meeting up with its own side of the agreement. When I assumed office this year, I wrote a series of letters to His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Enugu State, reminding him of the release of this equity funding. But up to now, nothing has been done. And I want to state there that it is only the funding from the National Health Insurance Authority that the State Health Insurance Agency is using to work. We have not gotten much support from the states. I believe that since it is contained in the law, there's nothing that will stop the state government from abiding by its law by releasing this 1% consolidated revenue fund. Many letters have been written to the government to release this fund to no avail. But I'm appealing to government of Enugu State that if you want to increase coverage, especially the people at the rural areas, that these funds need to be released to enable the Enugu State Agency for Health, Universal Health Coverage increase lives from 80-something thousand coverage in basic health insurance, basic healthcare provision fund to a number that is far higher than the ones they have covered. Okay, let me stop here.
Thank you very much. And I return to Prince Amalu. My question will be to you. What is the civil society organizations? What are you doing to engage government to enforce the provisions of the health sector reform law? And the follow-up to this will be, how would you utilize legislative action or legislative activism to ensure increased public spending on health?
Yeah, thank you very much once again, the moderator. Just as I keep saying, as a representative of the civil society organizations in Enugu State, very strategically, the primary health care and the other agencies or outfits of government, we have been doing a lot. We have our platforms for civil society organizations where I leverage in sensitizing our people on basic and current government policies on health. And essentially, the civil society has also been having a good working relationship with the media to also help to sensitize our people. But it is not enough. We are all aware that including the civil society has been facing, there's this effect of the dwindle in funds, which also affects what we do. But locally, we leverage on, thankfully with the social media now, we now leverage on the social media to ensure that very important information gets to our people, especially asking them to start holding their leaders accountable. So this is what we do. We engage constructively with government and ensure that, for instance, during our meetings, I make sure that I speak on behalf of the people and that issues on the accountability and other issues on due diligence. That is why I'm so happy when that NMA invited the EFCC here. And I'm sure with the letter that we had a few weeks ago, after I circulated it, I got a feedback that ICPC has been inviting some of the leaders of these managers of health. So I know that that action, I will attribute it to contribution of the CSOs. That's one. Then secondly, it's also I see it as a gap, but something to work collaboratively with NMA. We can start today, and the civil society organizations as welcome the hand of fellowship extended by NMA to support you as also one of the civil society outfits to engage the government constructively and on the need to operationalize the health sector, the repealed 2017 health sector, Enugu State health sector law, and ensure that the operations of this, the provisions of this health law are being optimally operationalized, and our people, the citizens are also, their voices are heard. So this is something that I think that it could be one of the takeouts from this summit, health summit, as call to action to further engage with Enugu State government and all the relevant government agencies to ensure that areas of gaps that can improve the access to health, just like we have been talking about basic provision fund, which is just only 260 primary health care centers. Now we have other healthcare centers. What happens to them? So that's the question. So I know, and I want to encourage NMA for the good work we have started to continue and be assured of the support of the CSOs. Thank you very much.
So, Barrister, we should be rounding off this discussion. And I would like to get your perspective on one very important thing you want to see change in the Enugu health system.
To me, one important thing that needs to be changed in the Enugu health system is quality of emergency reaction. When patients are engaged under emergency system, how do our medical practitioners and health practitioners, how do they respond? Some may have accidents. Some may not have a helper. Some may not have a supporter that can direct who the person was due to accident. How do they care for the patient in need of that emergency situation? Do they have facility that can rescue the person under emergency? I have seen a woman who has a dying child, but due to lack of oxygen, because she was forced to pay before she can get treatment, there was no available extra or surplus oxygen to take care of the child.
Thank you very
unless
much.
he pays. And when the doctor is not there, the child can die. So the state government should have an available medical equipment, medical resources that can take care of emergencies.
Thank you. Thank you. The National Health Insurance Authority, what's one change would you want to push in the next 1 year?
Yeah, it is very instructive to note that the federal government, in the amendment of Health Insurance Act 2022, had made health insurance compulsory for all Nigerians. And we have state health insurance authorities, agencies. It will interest me for every state, especially Enugu State, to make their own health insurance compulsory and do some legislation to ensure that all the local government areas comply with the legislation, making health insurance compulsory in the state. It will further help to increase lives, to increase enrollment in the state. And beyond the basic healthcare provision fund, I would like to let you know there are other interventions by National Health Insurance Authority, the one we call CIMONC, Comprehensive Emergency Obstetric Care and Newborn Care. That has been in this state for a long time, where all the women, pregnant women that has obstetric problems, go to designated hospitals for emergency care. Then we have what we call
Thank you very much.
free program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And finally, from Prince, what one significant change would you want to see in the way CSOs participate in budget and planning in the Enugu health system?
Thank you very much. I remain very grateful, the moderator. What I want to see is a greater involvement of civil society organizations in a budget process in Enugu State, especially with regards to health. And I'm sure that when this is done, then the question is what next? Whereby our role to all get involved in ensuring that these budgets, when these beautiful budgets are implemented, that NMA can set up, we will unlock privilege to have the moderator of this summit as a one-time House Committee Chairman on Health. You have someone who is in the this square peg and the square hole, or the round peg on the round peg, to lead this process. And then if he rallies around the CSOs, we will follow you, and we will all add a voice with the media to ensure that there is accountability and our people are getting the money and values for what they are paid for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I think that with this, we should be coming to the end of this dialogue. This is just the tip of an iceberg of what a health dialogue should be. And I think that health dialogue should, in a state or sub-national level, should actually reflect or take as an example learn from what the national level has done. A couple of weeks ago, there was a national health dialogue that was conducted in over 3 days, and a whole lot of grounds were covered on how we can exploit the healthcare value chain to move from policy to practice to the patient and to improve health outcomes. So here, the things that we are taking away from this very brief dialogue is number one, Enugu State must improve its health insurance coverage. And to do so, we need to enforce the funding provisions of the Enugu State Health Sector Reform Law. And we have to expand health insurance to both the formal sector and the informal sector. Number two, we need to improve community accountability, especially with the increasing investment in basic healthcare provision fund. Number three, we can exploit legislative action to improve PHC funding and the basic healthcare provision fund, and even increase budget spending in Enugu State. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, we round off this brief dialogue, and thank you for being part of it. Thank you, participants.
Let's appreciate our distinguished panelists for these wonderful conversations. Very, very interactive conversations. Very, very important dialogue. Please, can you stay back for a group photograph? After the group photograph, we are going to have the vote of thanks to be presented by the chairman, organizing committee, the LOC chairman, the person of Dr. Eric Oledo. He'll be presenting that vote of thanks, which will be briefly presented. And after then, we are going to have the closing prayer and, of course, the national anthem. While the group photograph is on, I'll continue to appreciate the state executives of Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, Enugu State Council, led by Comrade Dr. Oridu Nenna. Thank you, Dr. Obiora, my very good friend from College of Medicine, Enugu State University of Science and Technology, Park Lane, Enugu. Okay. All right, we now have the vote of thanks from Nze.
All protocol Announcements tomorrow by 8 a.m. Retreat, medical outreach. One is at Isuawa in Ogu local government. The other one is in Ikem in Isuzu local government area. So please, you are all expected to appear early. On behalf of the local organizing committee, I wish to thank the Almighty God for giving us all the enablement. We thank His Excellency, the Governor of Enugu State, for providing this conducive environment. Thank His Excellency, the Chairman of the occasion, Dr. Okwesilieze Nwodo. We thank the Enugu State Chairman of NMA, Rotarian Dr. Sonny Okafor, indefatigable, inclusive Sonny. He has traversed the whole of Enugu State for the sake of this program. We thank him specially. We are grateful to our esteemed members for taking up the historic challenge of reclaiming our noble association. The 2025 Physicians Week and its success story is a clear testament to our collective dedication and strong will to see the association and health sector of Enugu State work again. Your individual and collective involvements in preparation for the week, starting with the free will donations to many other sacrifices, gave us the resources that a new and rebranded NMA is possible. Lastly, I deeply thank the distinguished men and women of the LOC who toiled day and night to make the program a success. May God bless us all. We strongly believe that this year's event will serve as a turning point for our dear association and betterment of Nigeria's healthcare sector. I urge everyone to contribute in facilitating this change. Remember also that on Thursday, there will be evening with the elders of the association. And on Friday is the D-Day, the night to celebrate. Please, we thank you so much. May we all remain mightily blessed in Jesus' name. Thank you, and God bless you. Amen. MC.
Thank you, and said Dr. Eric Omire Oledo Ojana Wayo. Thank you for thanking us. And I must appreciate my partners in today's event, the camera, the media team, the DJ, and the others. The caterer for giving us a wonderful meal. Very delicious. Thank you for feeding us. I must say thank you to my chairman, the chairman of Nigerian Medical Association in Enugu State, and his team for having the trust of me to host this event as the anchorman. Thank you. As I invite for the closing prayer, I invite my worthy knights of St. John International, the director of Enugu State Medical Services, Dr. Sam Ebu, to lead us in the closing prayer.
Okay, before we have the closing prayer, tomorrow we are going to gather at the secretariat by 8 a.m. for the outreach. We already have 2 teams.
One team will go into Isuawa in Ogun local government area, while another team will go into Ikem in Ikem in Isuzo local government area. So please, we need to start early so that we can leave early. So 8 a.m., please be at the secretariat, and we are going to move from the secretariat of NMA Enugu State at number 29 Abakaliki Road, GRA Enugu. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, can we be on our feet for the closing prayer?
We pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. God Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, we thank you for this wonderful opportunity. We thank you for the glory and the honor. We thank you for the protection, all you have done for us to enable us to assemble and have this wonderful occasion coming to an end. We glorify your name forever. We pray that what we have started on Saturday, which is the 2025 Physicians Week, we will accomplish it to the end to your glory. We pray that as we are leaving this hall, you guide us and lead us home safely to our places so that we meet those we left while coming, and enabled us to wake up tomorrow in strong and strength to continue the program, so that at the end, we all will be happy and your name will be glorified only. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. In the name of the Father and of the Son.
National anthem. Thank you and God bless you. Good evening.